Well, hello, wherever you may be in the world. For those of us on the West Coast, it is 9 o'clock in the morning. For our friends and family members in other continents and countries, please announce yourself as you come in, where you're joining us from. We have lots of opportunities to watch and participate today. Some of you might be watching us on Facebook. Some of you might be watching us on LinkedIn. Some of you might be watching us on our website or on YouTube. So wherever you are, I hope this is a participatory watch. There are Freedom Riders in the chat room ready to say hello and announce themselves. And we're just so honored that you're joining us today for our annual Freedom Rider Give-a-thon on Giving Tuesday. And what today is, it's the International Day of Philanthropy, the International Day of Giving. So you probably ate way too much, you Americans, on Thanksgiving. Woke up probably way too early on a Friday to start your Black Friday purchases, whether you stood in line for a television or you simply got it online. Black Friday traditionally in America is the day of consumerism. And then it just kind of lasts, it kind of lingers. Monday was Cyber Monday, but I kind of think now, post pandemic, Cyber Monday is really like every day. And people are just online buying and purchasing and thinking about what they're going to give for Hanukkah or put under the Christmas tree. And so today we can breathe. And today is a day of giving to a cause, to a mission and a mandate. And we humbly ask that we are your mission, that we're your mandate. And if you have some funds to give to pay it forward, we are going to have a give-a-thon today. So let me tell you what we're going to do. And in a moment, I'm going to introduce one of our many guests throughout the day. So we have 3 opportunities to watch, 3 opportunities for you to feel philanthropic, 3 opportunities for you to give. And to do so, I've invited several guests today. So for our first hour, our 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. hour, I'm so excited in a moment to introduce you to our first guest, who I will introduce with a makeshift drum roll in a moment. At 3 p.m. Pacific time, we have 2 Freedom Rider guests who are coming in. So our guest this morning, she's holding it down by herself, but we're gonna have 2 guests this afternoon at 3 o'clock. Totally different guests, totally different videos and conversations. And then the piece de resistance is our 6 p.m. Pacific time. We're gonna have 2 guests again. And lots of interaction from some very sweet kids that we've worked with. So you can watch all 3. In fact, you could watch all 3 with your classes. Have your kids watch live while they're studying. Make this be academic. If they're familiar with the Freedom Rider story, this is like behind the scenes moments of gold. So we're going to be unscripted. We have some unbelievable, beautiful videos we have curated for today, with the hope and the aspiration that people feel that they want to give. And if you do give, we will announce it live. We will announce it live if it's $5. If you say, I'm not going to go to Starbucks today, I'm going to give $5 to the Freedom Riders Foundation, I will announce it live. If you give $20 and you say, I don't want to go to a movie, I would rather give to the Freedom Riders, I will announce it live. Whatever variation of finances you give, every single dollar counts in our give-a-thon on Giving Tuesday. So without further ado, I want to introduce our very first guest. She is nervous. I am nervous. Who's not nervous when they're speaking live to an international audience? But I'd like to introduce you to Freedom Rider extraordinaire, Kanya. So hello, Kanya. You are in the Freedom Rider office. I told you I was a little nervous. You could be a little nervous. Heck, anytime we go live, it is important because I think our message is important. I'm a sucker for red. So I love that you're wearing your Freedom Rider red. You're glowing on the screen. And I'm just so thankful that you said yes to our invitation today. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
We are too. We know that you have quite a fan club. So if they're not watching now live, feel free to watch throughout the day. cheer you on and celebrate you. So throughout this hour, Con, you're going to be my co-host. We're going to be telling your story, our story, and the collective good that Freedom Writers do story, all kind of wrapped with a big red bow for the holidays. So your red is chef's kiss perfection. So this morning, what I want to talk about is your journey from a sweet little angelic student who walked into my classroom in the fall of 1994. You were a little gangster back then. Oh my God. Can we go back? Can we reminisce to the little love bug who walked into room 203 as a freshman in the fall of 1994? The halo that I now see, the Rubik cheeks that are glowing and glistening on the screen. You were like, off come the hoops, off come the nails, gauntlet down. You were like gangster K. Tell the viewers who see the image of you now what little 14-year-old Kanye was like, gangster K walking in room 203. What were you like back in those days?
Oh my God. Angelic is far from it. I'm so lucky I even made it to high school because my last week of junior high school, I was going to be expelled for somebody called me a nice name. So know, you know, did a not nice thing. And I was sitting in the principal's office. And normally you're not supposed to get any kind of disciplinary actions, but I did. So I was sitting in the office and I was praying, like, oh my God, and my parents find out, what am I going to do? I can't be held back. How am I going to explain to my parents, like I should say back then, I would kind of forge, their signatures when I got into trouble. But I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to explain I didn't go to school for a week? But something that day just gave me a slap on the. He was like, "Don't do it again." But I had detention that day. But I was like, "Oh my God, I didn't go. I am not being held back." So when I went to high school, you know, that was kind of like a warning for me, and I didn't want to be in that position. So when I saw you walking into that classroom, I was just observing like what's going on. But it was wow, I can't believe that's so much long ago.
Well, I want to tell you, I'm so excited. One of our Freedom Writer teachers, Megan Abruzzo in Long Island, is watching live, hopefully with her students. And you are the perfect example of people who change. You came in with a folder with your naughty behavior, and I didn't open that folder. I just saw this sweet little angel walking into my room. And for context, for those sweet kids in Long Island, New York, who are watching with their teacher, Megan Abruzzo, Long Beach has the largest Cambodian population who came here after the killing fields and the genocide in Cambodia. And so the community that you lived in was called Little Cambodia. And a lot of the folks that were here, including your parents, who were genocide survivors, were plopped down in the center of a community that was having a racial reckoning. So I don't want to know what you were called, but I have a feeling that that righteous indignation that lives within you responded because you knew whatever you were being called was wrong. So I've just loved watching you have that same passion. You don't punch people anymore, thank goodness, but you punch the world with your pen and your activism, and so you still have that same kind of righteous indignation fighting against racism. But did you understand what racism was when you were that 12, 13-year-old middle school girl?
Oh yeah, I mean, I was bullied riding the school bus, picked on for having. I remember in middle school, this guy would always like mock me and said I had pumped up lips, and that's what he would say. And imagine as a kid, and I was trying to shrink down my lips by drawing it or
No.
making it smaller. But yeah, I would be, all sorts of names.
If only you lived in the Kylie Jenner age of lip kits and celebrating beautiful full lips. How dare that boy? He's going to regret what he said now that full lips are all of the rage and yours are au natural. Well, I wanted to, Kanya, for you. I don't even think you've seen this. During the pandemic, in our old office, which is going to make us very homesick when we see the living room of our old office, you and Jackie, who played your character, she was a mashup of you and Bunny in the feature film, a beautiful young woman who literally had just come out of doing some naughty stuff herself when we were able to meet her and hire her to play both you and Bunny as a character in the film. We sat down to have a conversation about all of the isms, racism and colorism. And you and Jackie looked right at the camera and talked about what was then this horrific trend of Asian hate. And there was a movement, hashtag Stop Asian Hate. And so what we did is we curated a little bit of that conversation that you and Jackie and I had. And you were my teacher that day. You were the audience's teacher, talking about things like colorism, talking to us about issues of hate. And I love that the little girl that used to try to punch people was sucker punching our audience with your smile and your words. So let's check out you in our old office, how you became an accidentally on purpose activist.
I'm considered darker tone within my community. And so, I get mixed feelings. And, my older sister, she's fair skinned. So, even within my own family, there's like this difference. And right now what's going on is that they're selling beauty cream products that are whitening. And just most recently, a friend of mine gave me some samples of some whitening cream.
It's never ending.
We are not going to stand idly by. No.
That's not okay to make those remarks. And it starts with the words. Starts with, like, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it. You don't know the effects and the trauma of that one word. Calling that person that dark skin, that ugly, you don't know how much damage that person, that can really eat at that person. Why can't we just accept people as who they are?
Mm-hmm.
Just as your unique beauty that you've been blessed with. Like, why we have to look like so and so? Why can't you just be who you are? I would say that if they see anything or hear anything, stand up, tell somebody. The more we oppress it and suppress it and saying that everything's all right, it's not all right. It's coming out for a reason. And it's coming out for a reason not so that we can perpetuate the same thing that's been happening. It's coming out for a reason so that we finally detox this and get rid of it. Hi, I'm Kanya Sim. We need to stop the Asian hate as of now.
Ooh, my gangster K. I love when you get fired up and when you look at the camera and tell people about we need to stop it now. So I know you haven't seen that since we recorded it in the midst of the pandemic, which was really hard for you specifically and really hard for your mom. You sadly lost your dad, but your mom was really triggered by the pandemic. It took her back to the fight in her home country of Cambodia and the trail that she had to take to get to Thailand and give birth to you. So that day, you and Jackie, your sister soulmate from the film, you were really laying it down. And what does it feel like now to watch that and realize we have come so far, and yet we've also retracted? We're still at a time where there still is colorism and there still is racism and there's still sadly hate to other races.
Yeah, I see so much like we move forward, but then we move backwards also. It's just we need to continuously talk about this awareness of acceptance. And I truly believe once you accept you as who you are in your own heart, then then you can affect change in other people. And that's something that Miss G, taught us. It was your heart that showed us the way. I I didn't have it in me. Like there was no way I would have that kind of capacity to accept me as myself back then. I hated myself. I disliked
Mm.
myself. I wish I was not born a certain way. I wish I was not even born. Even like, why do I have to go through this? Like, why does life suck so bad? Like, why am I in this for? What's in it for me? And why am why am I in this class? But when you talked about, I had my folders of, of how of a great, like, extraordinary student I was, but you looked at me as a person, like amongst all your other students, you didn't look at me as this person on the exterior and whatever I was going through and how I protected myself, but you looked at me as this person, as this unique person. I really felt, why am I so special? I didn't have the good grades. Like, why did you see in us and had so much faith and like dedicated your life to make a change and make a difference? And it was the impact, because I didn't grow up, feeling love, or this community also didn't embrace me. I mean, going taking the school bus, walking in the wrong side of town, you'll be a target because, hey, you look a certain way. You would avoid certain street or getting dropped. I would avoid getting off at that bus stop because I knew I would walk through that neighborhood and I would be subjected to words like, hey, dog eater, hey, chinita, or, those kind of words like, go back to where you came from. So this whole pandemic and all this coming out, especially what happened with my family and other people's family that had to flee Cambodia, was we experienced this. And um, right now what's going on with Thailand and Cambodia, and like we look the same. There's the language and the culture is different, but we're all the same. So it really goes back to the universal, like, this, that we need to the impact. You impacted my life, and that impact, it created this ripple effect for me to, like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be where I had came from or what I knew. You showed me this path out of darkness, and I'm so forever grateful. And that's how I pay it forward every day of my life, because the one, because there's nobody in my life that was able to make that positive effect. And you showed us family. You made us fall in love with each other slowly in your own way, and how you do it. I'm just like tearing up because I don't know how to thank you enough. Like me and Jessica, shout out to my sister, freedom writer Jessica. But, we were telling, Miss, we had lunch the other day and we were talking about, Miss G is the one who taught us how to embrace family, to accept one another. Because within our own families, we didn't know how to do it. I didn't get positive words of affirmation. If anything, was just like, I better not hear about it, or else, like, yeah. So, coming from that, the world of being, whole population being annihilated, this like silent, like, punishment that, as Cambodians in my family and other people who felt like, we didn't talk about it, like we just numbed it and just kind of survived. But it really kind of filtered through other, in our family, the anger, the resentment, the depression. But who believes in going to therapy? That's
Mm.
something that,
Oh, I just saw on the screen, Kanya, you've overcome so much. We love you. Oh, well, I will tell you, Kanya, there's a lot of sayings that we banter about in Freedom Rider world. One is family is what we make and family is what we choose. And I choose you. And you're freedom writer sisters and brothers from other mothers and misters. But I love that we have a lot of our freedom writer teacher family in our community right now. And your brother Narada just said, Kanya's speaking facts. But I want to do a very sweet shout out to some of the freedom writer teachers who have announced themselves in our chat room. As I said earlier, Megan Abruzzo and all of our beautiful kids in Long Island, freedom writer teacher Cody Cochran, freedom writer teacher Dr. Julie Hurst and the Snowline crew. Oh, my beloved friend Darren Levine. Darren Levine, Kanya, is one of the educators, proud educators from Parkland, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas School, where that was that horrific shooting. And Darren Levine beautifully, brilliantly, bravely teaches his kids about genocides. So you being a genocide survivor, oh, they're watching during study hall. So you directly are speaking right now, Kanya, to these beautiful kids. I get emotional, who, like you, have traumas and triggers, like you were robbed of being a kid when you were a kid, like you have movies in your mind that don't go away when you close your eyes at night, and they are resilient. And like you, they're fighters. So, oh my gosh, special shout out to my sweet Toey. Toey's a freedom writer teacher, and he just donated $40. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So if you're feeling in the spirit of the season and our Giving Tuesday, like our beloved Toey, and as we know, we teachers, we don't make a lot of money. So $40 for a teacher is many of minutes helping a kid. It's sacrificing not going to a Starbucks or a movie or doing that Cyber Monday sales. So thank you for those that do donate. Kanya, you and Tanya, while your names are very similar, you would have appeared to the outside world as very different. And in my class, you guys were brought together as sisters. And recently, you both went through a journey we'll talk about on the other side of this video. But I wanted to show a video of your sister, of Tanya. And in this particular scene, we took the cue from you and Jackie talking about racism. And Tanya wrote about it in the Freedom Writer's Diary. It's exquisite. And then they took her diary entry verbatim and turned it into a character. And it's one of the beautiful through lines of our story about racism, where there's tokenism, there's colorism. And so I want to show Tanya's video first. It's a mashup of your sister Tanya talking about her journey as well in room 203 and why she transferred in, and a mashup of the feature film. It's really amazing. But on the other side of this video, I want to talk about how you and Tanya have become these voracious women warriors. You guys are so badass. Sorry for you kids in study hall. There's just no other word I can use than my gangster K throwing down the gauntlet for being on the right side of history. So let's check out Tanya, Kanya's sister. And on the other side of this, Tanya and Kanya's fate as of late is going to be revealed.
Every school has their kind of gifted track. And from, I don't know, second grade, I was in that class atmosphere. So most of the time, I was the only Black student. I was put on a pedestal in a way, and it wasn't a place of honor.
I thought it would be most valuable to begin with Victoria to give us the Black perspective. Victoria?
Do I have a stamp on my forehead that says the national spokesperson for the plight of Black people? How the hell should I know the Black perspective of the color purple? That's it. If I don't change classes, I'ma hurt this fool. Teachers treat me like I'm some kind of Rosetta Stone for African Americans. What? Black people learn how to read and we all miraculously come to the same conclusion?
That scene in the movie floored me. They used my words, and to see that verbatim, it got me a little bit emotional. It wasn't a big deal to anyone else, but it was a big deal to me, knowing that what I did in class was not just a reflection of my behavior, but it was a reflection of all Black people. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. I left, and it was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Okay, everybody.
Going from the Distinguished Scholars Program at Wilson and being put in Aaron's classroom, it pushed me in ways that I was not anticipating. I've got a lot more confidence in who I am now and what I bring to the world because I'm a freedom rider. Somewhere right now, there are hundreds of thousands of students who are being pigeonholed by their teachers. I hope that the movie gives them hope, but also I hope that it gives them power to not accept the limitations that others put on them. I hope that they take courage and heart and that they stand up for themselves, because there's power and there's joy in standing up for yourself, even in the face of so much opposition.
So, Kanya, you and Tanya and your Freedom Rider brothers and sisters have created a movement. Your book is not only in people's hands, but it's in their classes and their libraries, and it's now being banned. Our book is being banned. Imagine that in certain cities and states with certain politicians and pundits. To our friends in Florida, Dan, sometimes we find out that the Floridians, those parents, sometimes ban our book. But they ban our book beside Elie Wiesel. They ban our book beside Anne Frank. So, Kanya, what does it feel like to be an author that is banned? Oh my God, it's kind of a badge of honor, isn't it?
That means we're doing something right.
Amen. That's where the gangster K goes out, is burn it, ban it, censor it. It just makes kids want to read it that much more. It's so powerful. And my hope is that people do want to pick it up. You'll get a kick out of this. Tony and I were in a class at a community college the Monday before Thanksgiving. And there was an Asian exchange student, and I was talking about our book, and he said, "Oh my God, I've never seen a banned book before. Can I hold it?" And I handed him the Freedom Rider's Diary, and it was as if it was going to explode in his hands. And I said, "Are your fingers tingling?" And he kind of nodded, and I think he expected there to be some kind of lightning bolt from the sky. But I think there's something kind of titillating about the idea of a banned book. And why the book has been banned is for the subjects that you talked about. We deal with racism and colorism head on. We deal with hurt people who hurt people head on. We deal with abuse, all forms, emotional, physical, sexual, head on. And I think that scares some people. So what would you tell a kid in a study hall or who's listening today about your book? So they're not struck by lightning, but maybe they'll pick it up and check out a diary or two.
I would say, these are real life stories of people who, normal people, they're not movie stars, they're not actors, are paid to that. This is real life. This is real and raw as it gets. And it's somebody's transformation. That unique person is not a celebrity that's acting. It's the real experience. This is the organic everybody loves organic. So this is the organic stuff. And why would you not want the organic stuff, the real stuff that's made of, that the real transformation of somebody experience? And if anything, it speaks to your experience as you always taught us, that we are the director, we are the writers of our own life. Our story is a story that how do you want to be written as, and how do you want to change the plot? And so this is your story that, if anything, is to show you that through these different examples of people's experience, that they went through it, they overcame it in their own way. Whatever success it is, the success is that you're able to read it, pick it up, and somehow you live through that experience and it changes you. Then we did our work, and that changed you, because instead of you having to live that experience, you can, go through that and feel, oh, that's how it felt. That's how it is. You don't have to live that experience yourself. You can read about it. And that's what the power of the impact that and the gift that keeps on giving is sharing that experience and keep living it out. And that's what's been shown. And it's so important that we like today with I'm so grateful that we grew up in a time where social media wasn't there yet. But of course, the power of social media, but it has a double-edged sword. These are our stories. These are our transformation of making a difference and the impact. So,
I have to brag about you. In our latest book, Dear Freedom Writer, young people around the world wrote letters to freedom writers, one of which was specifically for you. And the letter writer would end with a question that a freedom writer would have to respond to. So the little girl who wrote to you was Hannah in Columbus, actually right outside of Columbus in Mansfield, Ohio. And in her story, she wrote about food insecurity. She grew up with unbelievable economic strife, and in a motel that she lived in, she wrote about the hookers. That's what she called them, the hookers that she would see loitering before she went to school. In your response, you wrote about your community, and you also saw, as you wrote, prostitutes on your way to Wilson High. And as many people know, our publishing house is Penguin Random House. They published Barack Obama, Prince Harry, you name it. And our very beautiful editor wrote back and said, could you get the girls to change the word hooker and prostitutes to something more PC like sex worker? And I said, I don't think so. I don't believe in censorship. And if Hannah and Kanya want to use the word prostitute and hooker, I'm not going to try to change them. And I'll never forget making that call to both of you. And I was really proud that you stood your ground because it was your story. It was your words. You didn't want to take something gritty and sanitize it and make it PC for a modern day audience. And neither of you budged. So in not budging, it became a little bit more gritty and raw. And why do you think it was so gritty and raw to begin with? Because you lived that. I mean, no kid should be walking to school seeing transactions going down or the things that you saw, but you saw it. So can you explain what you saw and why you did not make it sanitized and PC?
because how would you live that story if the words and the scene was what it is? Because if I change it, then it wouldn't be the real story. It would be a story that is, not real. It's important because, of course, the terminology has changed, but that's what we called back then. So how do you go back a time and space back then to show you that's what it was called? That was the scene. That's how it felt like. That's how. That's what I saw when I got off the bus, or I, walked down that street, and I saw, and what we named the, PCH, the word PCH. Like,
Absolutely. I love the grit. I want to do a shout out to your Freedom Writer sister, Laura Ponce, who's in the chat. Hello. We say hello to you. Freedom Writer teacher, Erica Nunez, our beloved Freedom Writer teacher. She just donated $50. Oh my God. So if you're feeling moved and inspired, don't go to Starbucks tomorrow. Don't go to the movies. Donate $5, $10. Every single penny will go to our Give-a-thon on Giving Tuesday. The QR codes are on your screen. So Tanya and Kanya, my two girls, we just saw Tanya's scene. We saw yours earlier. We've got two more recent scenes that we've created. Something happened last year. And we were planning for a big holiday party, like we were planning this year for our Freedom Writer brethren. And you and Tanya, literally within days of each other, were both diagnosed with cancer. And it floored us. It was terrifying. And so we made a decision let's cancel our holiday party. Let's take all of that love and emphasis, create GoFundMe's for our girls, and let's rally. And your first chemo was December 5th, just a few days from now is the year anniversary of your first chemo. So we sat down to make a podcast with you. Whew, it was hard, honey, because you talked about all the things. You talked about your childhood with parents who were genocide survivors. You talked about the years of racism you felt and colorism. And something came back that I hadn't seen since you were 14. That Gangster K, we needed Gangster K to make a special appearance for you to kick cancer's ass. There was something that I don't know what happened, but right before you went into chemo, man, that little inner fighter who might have been dormant for a while was back. So I would love to show 2 minutes of that exquisite podcast. Your fire and your passion and the fact that it was recorded in the midst of you being a cancer now survivor. But at the time, there was so much ambiguity. So let's check out this scene of you, sweetheart. And on the other side, I want to talk about the things that you said and how you emotionally stirred anyone who watched and everyone who listened. So this is Sweet Kanya talking about her journey. I think the theme of survival and surviving is a constant in your life. Can you tell our listeners about your birth and being a survivalist from birth?
So my parents had to flee Cambodia in the late 1970s because of the communist regime. And they were on a campaign to mass murder any educated, any wealthy aristocrats, anybody who wore glasses, could speak a certain, or you're light skinned, they were targeted. They were mass murdered by the hands of, these Pol Pot regime communists. And they rape, they burn, they annihilate you, take out your organs, any kind of like horrific, ways of killing. 3 million people perished at the hands of, hatred. And that's why I feel like I'm so lucky to be alive still. Because there's no way I could be here with the circumstances that I had to bear as a baby because my mom didn't have enough to eat. And she had my sister who's older than me 1 year, and she was pregnant with me, and they walked all the way to Thailand to a refugee camp. And they discovered that I had tuberculosis at that time. So my lungs were not functioning, and I was severely malnutrition because lack of food. And so I was in the hospital with, strapped with on my brain, I think my mom said. And she didn't think I was gonna make it.
Wow, I look at that beautiful face, and at that time you were really puffy still from, you had just started chemo when we did our first interview. And that was such an excruciating podcast. For those who have not listened, please do so. I love partnering Kanya's podcast with Luang Ung, who wrote the incredible book, First They Killed My Father, that was made into a feature film at the hands of Angelina Jolie as the director and producer. That podcast really was hard for your mom. I think for a lot of the listeners, we have such empathy and compassion for the journey that your mother went through. But your mom was not ready for that story to be out in the world. And I know that not only she wasn't ready for that story to be out in the world, your cancer triggered a lot of her fears. So looking back to that interview, what goes through your mind, and how can we give your mom some grace for all that she has survived. Even though it has been difficult, even though it's been hard and heavy, she too is your example of what survival looks like, and what being a fighter looks like.
Oh, I can't believe that was just a year ago today. And yes, I cannot thank my mother enough for her resiliency and just her fighting spirit, which, passed on to me hope in her own way. That time, I remember that day you're like, "Are you going to come in to do the podcast?" Because I told you I would have chemo and I had 5 hours of chemo before I came in. So I was really puffy. Um, and my message that time when I did the podcast was, here I am. I'm now stage 4 cancer. So the risk of, who knows? Maybe I'm not going to come through. So whatever I said at that moment was kind of like I was pouring my heart out. I didn't care how it come out. And you even said normally you'd have to do takes and cut things out, but it flowed because I was just pouring my heart and my soul, because prior to this, my cousin had just passed away from cancer, and Tanya is going through cancer. And then 2 years prior was my aunt, my mom's sister, had just died of cancer. And previously, my grandmother, when we first arrived to the country, she had passed away from cancer. So I had this cancer ran in my family, and I would be, the other number, right? That was the fear. So at that moment, I was just, I didn't know what to do. And I was not courageous,
Oh,
but
yes, you were. I dare to differ.
I mean, I had to do it because Miss G expects me, and I need to. Even if I had fear, if I'm scared, and I don't know what to do, but whatever you taught me was that whatever you're going through, you come out of it. There's always hope. There's always the light at the end of the tunnel. And I don't know, if you ask me to do something, I'm just like, even I don't know how to do it, I'll figure it out how to do it, because that's how you instill that in me. So I didn't know, but just in case I'm not gonna make it, that podcast was gonna share my story of how I didn't know if I would come out the other end and make it, because the treatment is really rigorous. I had chemo and I had radiation, and normally that stuff, people don't survive those treatments. And it was, even when I first was diagnosed, I was like, "Oh, I'm not going to tell Miss G. I will come out of this like a breeze and then just show up." But it was not, because I'm used to not sharing this and not having put my burdens on other people, because that's how I felt. That's how I'd survived all my life, was to just stay quiet, hunker down and just deal with it. And cancer was not a kind of battle that I could silently battle by myself. I remember I was bedrotting because I thought, wow, I had survived all this, and now, what did I do to deserve to get cancer? Why am I being punished to have to go through cancer at this moment in my life? I'm not handed enough, on my plate. And I didn't know how I would do it. But
Oh,
I remember Carlos called me and "Kanye, let's meet with Miss G and Jessica. We're going to talk about this. You can do this. We can overcome this." And then, you've had me on the podcast, and it's the generous donations that helped me, because all of a sudden I was stage 4 from, it took them almost 2 years, and you can hear about it in my podcast, to get diagnosed. So all of a sudden, I get the most devastating news that I'm going stage 4. I didn't know how to deal with it. I know how to deal with so many things in the past, but all of a sudden, I'm, used to being self-sufficient, work and pay my own way, bought whatever I needed to buy. Then all of a sudden, I'm not working. I can't work even if I want to work, because now I have to go through chemo and
but your job was you. And I think you're a giver, and it's hard for you to receive. When we started your GoFundMe, and I love that there's so many Freedom Rider teachers. I want to do shout outs who are on this live chat who donated. They donated their time, their treasure, their talent. Shout out to Megan and Tammy, Julie and Nancy Rodriguez. They were calling us and saying, what can we give them, to you and Tanya both? Fuzzy socks, got it. Blankets, got it. Blenders to blend up things that you could drink when you couldn't eat. We kept raising your goals, both you and Tanya's, and we surpassed. And then people were giving you stuff on the side. Generous Carlos, who you mentioned. Carlos didn't want anybody to know how much he gave you because he's so proud of you. So I want to do a shout out to the anonymous donors, the Zulis, the Carloses, who said, I just want to go and see my girl and give her something. So I want to, on the screen, I want everyone to see the photograph that we have of you in this field of flowers. That was the photo that we put on. And that's rings true for me. When my father passed, I was near a field of sunflowers. So seeing those sunflowers with you was such a beautiful photo. So that was your photo that we put on our GoFundMe campaign. Let's see Tanya's too. Tanya's was also gorgeous. Look at, so we had simultaneous GoFundMes. We shut down our holiday party. We gave strict instructions to everyone. Do not donate to the Freedom Rider party, donate to our girls. And what I want to do is I want to show the most glorious little video of you and your girl ringing a bell. Can I have that on the screen? Look at our girls. I want to weep. For those that don't know the journey of cancer, what is the symbolism, Kanya, that you and Tanya got to do of ringing a bell? You were a little bit more gentle. Look at Tanya. Tanya's going bananas. You're just kind of fluffy with your bell. But what is the symbolism of ringing a bell?
It's the end of the treatment. It means you pass. Like, that's the baton at the end of the race. Like, you finish this marathon. For me, I was so weak. I could barely stand up at that time. I had to be, somebody had to take me to the hospital that day. I could not drive anymore. I could not stand up. So I was like, any strength I had, because I had gone through, so many chemo and radiation. By that my body was so broken down that I could not stand up. Like, I had to be like escorted to the hospital.
Well, that's the irony is that's how you came into this world, and you're not going out of this world this way. I just want to say the power of gathering, the power of family being what we make. I mean, we tried to shroud you with love and encouragement. I love that Freedom Rider teachers are on this call. I love that Ricardo, I want to say specifically, hello, Ricardo. Thank you. We miss you badly. Our doors, our hearts are always open for family. So I want to show this other clip. Ironically, you made your podcast in the midst of your journey. Tanya came in here, and her podcast, like yours, was spectacular, but hers did not mention her cancer treatment because she had not been diagnosed for another 48 hours. She just finished her master's degree. I am sure at some point our girl Tanya is going to go back for her doctorate. But on her day, we didn't have any conversation because it wasn't until 2 days later that she was diagnosed. So the two of you were, within days, if not weeks. And I think you just inspired Nancy Rodriguez, Kanya, because she just donated $100. Thank you, Nancy Rodriguez. And she was one of the first people that rallied when we set up our GoFundMe before. So amazing, absolutely amazing. But let's show Tanya's, all of these video clips make me weepy, let's be honest. So I can't say anyone makes me more weepy than the other. But Tanya and you had to rely on your Freedom Rider family and your mamas. I know that Sue Ellen was on tactical alert to drive Tanya to City of Hope and drop her off. I know that you had friends on the ready to drive, but really both of you relied on your moms. And sadly, your grandmothers did not love on their daughters the way you ladies love on each other. So, in Tanya's tribute to her mother, keep in mind this is right before her diagnosis. It was such a beautiful tribute to her mother. So let's check out Tanya's podcast days before she was announced. But this unbelievable, exquisite love letter to a mom who didn't get loved on by her mom, which is why Tanya is so loving and why you guys just were like Wonder Twin powers activate. Whew. Let's check out Tanya. I mentioned earlier that I was and am in awe of your mother. Where does that strength come from? How do you think your mom became who she became?
My mom is a cycle breaker, and that is such a powerful, difficult role. It takes deliberate thought and mindfulness. My mom was abused and neglected and mistreated growing up, and she never was told that she was beautiful or that she would amount to anything. She was expected to get pregnant at 16 and drop out. And she moved out at, I want to say 17 or 18. And to this day, my mom will tell you that she doesn't think she's pretty because her mom never told her that. So she decided, I'm going to be the exact opposite. My daughter will never experience what I experienced. So my mom gave me hugs. She never got hugs from her mom. My mom told me I was smart and capable. She never heard that from her mom. My mom and dad told me I was beautiful and wonderfully and fearfully made. My mom never heard that from her own. So it came from within.
Wonderfully and fearfully made. That's exquisite. You two women are the giants that we get to stand on the shoulders. Both of you in your podcast celebrate the past, learn from the past so you're not doomed to repeat it. And you open the door and kicking and screaming said, I need help. And help arrived. I love that Tanya used the word cycle breaker. I love that she also talks about beauty, that beauty that was never bestowed on her through words to a mother. And I know it's well with you. Your mother never said that to you, but we say it to you guys all of the time. Oh my goodness, you two women. So one of the beautiful things, not of just ringing the bell, is Tanya's now engaged. He's out there for you. Your prince is out there too, Kanye. We will find him. And when we find him, we'll find mine as well. But sweet Tanya gets to be a princess. She gets to have, and maybe I can even officiate. You know, I'm a sucker for officiating. I'm officiating Ty's wedding this summer, Freedom Rider Ty. But I think this full circle is really about love, about giving, about finding beauty and declaring it. And I think of you whenever you, so we start this GoFundMe for you and Tanya. Everyone is giving their time, their talent, their treasure. And then you walk in and you bring us flowers, or you walk in and you bring us food, or you walk in and are bestowing those that are giving to you. Because I think you love the reciprocal nature of giving. But why is the reciprocal nature so important to you, that too much is given, much is expected?
Because that's foreign to me. Like, I'm not used to asking for help, and it's so hard because I feel like it just doesn't sit right. So, and any acts of kindness, I just felt that is so wonderful, so amazing that someone would care. You know, they don't know me personally, they know of me, but to, open up their hearts, their wallets, and the gifts that keeps on giving to make a difference and really impact instead of getting um, stuff. We need stuff too, but it's important. We need money.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hear it's a cringeworthy thing. When I had you guys just in room 203, my shtick was I didn't know how to ask, so I just got a bunch of extra jobs. We're a lot bigger now than just asking for some extra jobs. But I love that we have learned in our community to ask, to give. Whatever we give, we always get back. I love that Nancy, who was one of the first donors to these beautiful Freedom Riders sisters, her daughters of sort. Um, it feels good. It feels good when you give because you know where it's going. With those that wanted the fuzzy socks or the warm blanket, and so I hope that our Freedom Rider Give-a-thon is the fuzzy socks and the warm blankets to kids in need, or we're the fuzzy socks and the warm blankets to our talented teachers who need to know that they're not alone. The fuzzy socks and the warm blankets for people who find their people. We often say we're the island of misfit toys. I love that we're the island of misfit toys. So, is there a way that you could say thank you for people's grace last year, but more importantly, for extending that grace to this year so that we can get more metaphorical fuzzy socks and warm blankets to kids and teachers in need?
Well, this is the best gift, your whatever the amount is, it doesn't matter. Just give. This is the best gift you can give because it's a gift that keeps on giving and it's going to live on because that $1 or however amount can make a difference to somebody's life. As far as back then I was so grateful because I lost my job and I couldn't work even if I wanted to, and that really helped me to put gas in my car, get food to eat, to be able to be here today. And treatment costs money. And so that's why the best gift you can give is, instead of giving that present that we don't need, is the experience, is the impact, knowing that it's going to keep giving the ripple effect that's going to far reach more people than you would ever think. So it's like the best. It's like you win in both ways. It's
Mm.
not going to be a gift that you're going to toss it away after you buy it, but this is the gift that lives on in people's life and people's hearts. So, give that gift, whatever amount that is. Did I survive because of somebody who cared enough to open their hearts, to open their wallet? And there's no way to say thank you enough. And so just however it is, you'll feel good. You'll feel great
Oh,
knowing you make that impact.
I love it. You are better than one of those commercials I see with the hero song, and wounded dogs. Oh my goodness, this is a time when we're inundated with so many different ways of which we can give of our time and our talent and our treasure. So I hope that our Freedom Rider family, who are either watching live or will watch at another time, will consider paying it forward. All of our podcasts are 100% commercial free. We do that deliberately. We want to have these podcasts accessible to kids. And in the middle of a podcast, we don't want like a Viagra commercial. So we have made everything that we create free and accessible by, for, and about the people. Your donations will allow us to keep visiting classrooms, doing Zooms. If you are moved by Kanya, Freedom Riders love zooming into your classrooms and speaking directly to your students. So we thank you for spending the hour with us, for dropping in and saying hello for a minute, or for spending the entire hour. And I am going to give you a homework assignment. I can, because I'm still a teacher. We got 2 more lives today, different guests. different videos, probably different reasons to cry and celebrate. We have one at 3 p.m. Pacific time. We have one at 6 p.m. Come back, different guest, different stories and journeys. Kanya, I hope you turn in to the 3 and the 6 in the chat room and say hello to the Freedom Riders who love you. Announce yourselves, announce cities and states, countries and continents that you're coming from. We deliberately did a 9 a.m. in the hopes that we could galvanize some of our fabulous friends in other continents who have different time zones. But I thank you for those that gave. Thank you. I thank you for those that watched. I thank you for those that are going to watch, going to read, going to sit down and watch the feature film with their students or their family over the holidays. Kanya's face is the face of a hero. So on our way out, we're going to end this give-a-thon with Kanya and Tanya once again ringing that bell and remind you that when community comes together, that we can change the world. So thank you all. Let that bell and that passion be your guide today. And we thank you and we hope to see you 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock. Thank you all.